Lacking discipline used to cost me in my fitness, used to cost me in my business, and it used to cost me in my marriage. Now, did it cost me everything? Absolutely not. But what it did cost me, I will never be able to quantify. And I don't like that. And for a lot of you that lack discipline in your life, whether it's to do with your training, nutrition, mindset, your business or your work or your career, or in your relationship, the lack of discipline is costing you things that you will never be able to quantify. And so in this video, I'm going to break down some of the common problems that people have with discipline, specifically the people that I've been working with for the last few years, and how we go ahead and fix those discipline problems, how we embed it into their lifestyle, how we create habits that build them up to become more disciplined than what they were. I think it's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but I'm going to make it really simple today in this video. So simple, in fact, that by the time you finish watching this, you are not going to be inspired. You're not going to be motivated. You're going to have some action steps that you can implement today to go ahead and start to become more disciplined. Because discipline isn't about talking. Discipline is about doing. Let's crack in. Now, if you've just landed here and you're wondering, who's this dude and why would I listen to him talk about discipline? My name's Johnny Salmon and a warm welcome to the channel. I'm a former Queensland police officer with almost a decade of frontline policing service. I've moved into the fitness industry. I'm a personal trainer. I've delivered over 10,000 personal training sessions and also run an online fitness coaching business. Coupled with that, I'm a studying nutritionist. I've got a podcast and I run this YouTube channel. So being disciplined and living a structured, consistent lifestyle with systems and structure is something that's very valuable to me. It's very embedded in my lifestyle. And I pass on those lessons and those things to my clients and also learn from those clients every single week. And I'm passing those lessons back to you. So welcome to the channel. If that sounds something like something that you're interested in learning more about, press the subscribe button. And while I've got you, in the show notes below, there's 2 links that you'll find. Number 1 is a 15-minute strategy call. If you think that I can help you and you've listened to this video and you think, I really want to just have a bit more of a chat and see if this guy can help me move past some sort of roadblock, there's a 15-minute call link. It's completely free. The second one is a link to a page, which is the CXO Movement. I'm building a movement of structured, disciplined men that love to look after themselves physically and mentally and get themselves into the best shape they can. All the information on that coaching program is on the page below. So if you'd like to find out more about that, you can press the second link. So firstly, I think it's really good to have a frame of reference for what we're talking about. So let's go to the Oxford Dictionary and look at what the meaning of discipline is. Discipline, the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. Very interesting. And I obviously somewhat agree with it, but let's break it down into some really key action steps. So one of the ways you can start to build discipline into your life is by creating a bit of a frame in your brain that it's doing things that you don't want to do when it's uncomfortable, when it's not convenient, or when you just don't feel like it. Because if we always wait for when we feel like it, we simply won't make any progress. Discomfort is something that I try and find with the clients that I work with, whether they're in person or whether they're online. I'm trying to find discomfort and I'm trying to find the pushback and I'm trying to understand where is that threshold when they start to get uncomfortable. And sometimes they send body language signals, sometimes they send verbal signals. Either way, whatever it is, they start to send signals that they're uncomfortable. And that's amazing. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Because if I can start to understand what makes someone feel uncomfortable, then I start to know exactly where it is that they've let themselves grow to and they're not willing to push past. And that's the little ceiling that we need. Sometimes it's big. It's not always little, but that's the thing that I need to sort of push them through. So if you can take that concept and for you work out where does this discomfort lie? Where am I being lazy? Where am I tapping out of things? Where am I not pushing forward and leaning in? You'll start to understand that ceiling that you've put on yourself. And this can be across training, nutrition, relationships, business, whatever it is. But there is a ceiling for you somewhere that you need to start to burst through. The great part about identifying what that ceiling is that you can start to work out the work that you need to do, that you have been avoiding, and you can write a list and go and do it. And the beauty of that is that you'll no longer have these things. So like, let's just say today, you look back on the past and you can see all these things that you haven't done and all these promises you haven't kept to yourself or others around you. You can't go back and do those things. All you can do is plan and act in the future better than what you've done in the past. So in every single moment of every day, you've got an opportunity to lean in to becoming a more disciplined person. If you're someone that doesn't like progress, you are happy with the shape that you're in, you're happy with exactly where you're at, then this will mean nothing to you. But if you are someone, which I'm assuming if you're still watching, you are wanting progress, you need to lean in and you need to identify what the gaps are and start to act on them. Something I mentioned earlier is waiting until you feel like it. And that's a terrible way to try and build discipline, because if you're always waiting until you feel like it, those moments may be, every minute today, they may be every hour tomorrow, they may be every few hours the next day, and next week it might happen once. So the point I'm trying to make there, regardless of the specifics of the timing, is that if you're waiting until you feel disciplined to do stuff and to get stuff done, it's not going to happen. You have to take action on the goals that you set. And actually, you know what? Let's reverse engineer this process. Over here is point B, where you want to be. All the progress that you want to make and all of the goals that you have. And it's where you currently are not, because you are over here in point A. This is where you currently are. This is how you currently feel, how you look, how you treat yourself, how you treat those around you, and the current discipline that you have. Now, to get yourself to point B, we need to work out in this space all of the steps that you need to take. Now, unfortunately, if you knew what they all were, you would be able to be here at point B, but you're not, you're at point A. So it's probably fair to say that there's a gap in either knowledge or action in what you need to do to achieve that goal or to get to point B. So there's two options. Number one is you can get a list, like get a pen and paper and write a list of all the things that you think will get you to point B. You can go ahead and take action on that. You can start stepping through those things. You can start crossing off the list and hope that you get there. And you know what? For some people, that will absolutely be true. You'll write a list and you'll just realize that you haven't been doing all the things that you needed to do. And if that's you, that's fantastic. My encouragement after watching this video, instead of scrolling on to the next one, is to actually take action on it and turn your phone off or your computer off or your TV and write the list and start to get it done. But there is a percentage of you, probably more than the other percentage, that actually don't know what lies in between this gap. Or you probably wouldn't be tuning into a video on discipline, would you? You'd be going out and taking the action. So the other option that you have is to get some help with it. Now, there's 1,000 people that you can get to help you with this. But if you would like it to be me, again, there is a link in the show notes below for a 15-minute call, which is a strategy call. And you can bring your questions and we can have a power chat. And I promise you, you will leave that call with an action list. So if you need that, jump in the call below. Now, the next thing, and I very briefly touched on this earlier, is not being able to keep the promises to yourself or to those around you. Every time you don't keep the promise that you make to yourself, you weaken the trust that you have in yourself. Now, that's not a good place to be, because every time you do it and it gets weaker and weaker, you know that the next time you express something to do with progress, discipline, training, nutrition, your relationship, your business progress, you know that even though you express it verbally, subconsciously, you're completely aware that all the other times that you didn't execute the things that you ran your mouth about, you know that you didn't get them done. So it's almost like you're just lying to yourself. And that's not a great place to be. And there's one way to fix it, in my opinion, and that's to start to verbalize goals, small goals that you can, they might be things that you do in your day-to-day life. You might write them down, you might tell your partner, you might verbalize them to yourself. But either way, you start to build this consistency in positive outcomes. So rather than being this person that projects that they're going to do something and then literally just never doing it, you're just going to flip the script on that and start to actually execute on and achieve the things that you're talking about. That's going to start to build up in your brain this positive spiral upwards instead of a negative spiral downwards, so that you can start to build trust in yourself that you're actually going to go on to do the things that you said you would do. Now, I raise this because it's a massive problem, and I've seen all of the things, and I've done some of them too. People from cancelled PT sessions to cancelled contracts to not fulfilling what it is that they set out to do, from falling short of the goals and being okay with it, from things like not meal prepping their meals and just eating whatever they want and continuing to use the same excuses over and over again as to why they were too busy or why they didn't have time or how they didn't have enough knowledge to do it. See, I don't think people often have a lack of knowledge. I think they have a lack of accountability. They have a lack of systems and structure, and they can't piece together how to embed all the things they need to do in their lifestyle. And so they just fall short. And so that's why having a clear action plan with clear action steps can really help you piece together what it is you need to do, what you need to focus on, and narrow the focus and stop looking so wide and start going deeper. Something else I see a lot is like letting a bad circumstance ruin the rest of the week and using the whole wait till Monday mentality. It's kind of like a child's tantrum, in my opinion. Can you imagine if, when kids, like, something happens and it ruins their whole, like, they don't have this understanding of future and time and perspective and things like that. And they don't have a lot of, responsibility. So they don't have to keep leaning into things and getting them done. They can literally just cry and sulk and do whatever they want. Let's run a quick scenario here. Your mate comes to you and says, hey, I've stuffed something up to do with X, Y, Z, whatever it is. And I'm just going to wait till next Monday, which is in 6 days, to start it again. You got two options of responses. Number one would be to say, you know what? That's a really great idea. I think you deserve it. I think you tried really hard. And I think the thing that you just started doing that you don't know much about yet and that you haven't got too much experience in, I think you should wait 6 more days. That's a really great idea. I wouldn't say that to a mate that I genuinely cared about, right? I would say, that's ridiculous. There's no need to wait 6 days to try something again. You should just get back on the horse either now or tomorrow. And so that would be what I would say to someone that I cared about. But often for ourselves, we lean into those excuses and the delay and the avoidance of the things that we know that we need to do to get the outcome that we want. And I'm so fascinated by why we do this as humans. And something that I really actually enjoy doing is not bossing people around, but questioning people and asking why. And as we dig down through the layers of, it usually starts with a throwaway comment, and then it starts with something a little bit more serious, but it might be a bit jokey. And then as we dig down through the seriousness and we get to that like serious layer, which is kind of like before when we were talking about the ceiling that we placed on ourselves, if you can imagine it like this thing that's swapping. So as we get deeper into the brain and we work out why, and we work out what that is, we start to work out what that ceiling is. And that's a really great place to be, because you can pull apart all the things that are holding you back, and you can use them to burst through that ceiling and actually start to build discipline, to get yourself in shape, to mentally and physically look after yourself so that you can be the best version of you for yourself, for those around you, and for those, whether it's in your family or your business or your workplace. Showing up as the best person and the best version of you is so, so important. And the last thing I want to touch on from personal experience and from that of, communication that I've received from so many clients over the years is just not projecting excuses, just accepting fault for exactly where you're at. So if you don't have progress and you're stuck here, from the reference from before, point A to point B, if you're stuck at point A, that's your fault. If you completely own that and own the circumstances around it, that means that instead of thinking about the past stuff behind that, you can start to plan for the future, and you can plan all these steps that you have to take. So in closing, I think it's fair to say that discipline, we would probably agree, discipline isn't something we're born with. It's a choice that we have to make every day, every week, every month, every year. And if you're serious about achieving a specific goal, and remember, you can have different goals in different buckets or parts of your life, but you need to create discipline in all of them. And so to summarize this video, I think what we've achieved as a knowledge upgrade, so to speak, is that discipline is about working out the habits and behaviors that you need to do to achieve the goal in a specific field in your life, and then take all of the steps one by one. Like I said, they're not big things often. The things that are easy to do are just as easy not to do. So taking the little steps daily, weekly, monthly to get you towards your goal is exactly how you need to build discipline. And you know what? Doing that for me personally and professionally has been absolutely game changing, because it no longer means that I'm stuck and not being able to lean into the excuses or limiting myself on what is and isn't possible. You're just removing all those barriers, because you know that all I need to do is this one next thing. And then after that, I need to do this one next thing. And then after that, this one next thing. So there's just these tiny little steps. There's a saying that goes, small steps, great distances. And I say it to my clients all the time, because it literally is from the physical act of going walking to help reduce body fat is small steps. And the great distance is the body fat reduction. And it's the same with building discipline in your habits. I've seen how impactful discipline is in my fitness, my health, my relationship, and my business. I've worked with so many clients that I've helped build discipline for, and it's been really impactful for them. I love getting text messages and the thanks from people that were stuck at point A and now they're at point B. It genuinely lights me up. It's why I do what I do. If I can help you, just remember in the show notes below, there's 2 links. 1, 15-minute call strategy. 2, link to the CXO Movement page where all the information is about my coaching program. If you haven't already, press subscribe, click the links if you'd like to find out more, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day. Talk soon. See ya.